Max stormed away from the group of gossiping nobles, his frustration boiling over. Perhaps he's someone she can't show off to anyone, one of the ladies whispered mockingly. Seething with anger, Max smashed his glass to the ground. Is spreading false rumors that satisfying? He muttered, his glare sharp. Seeking solace, Max returned to Salon Bloom's, where Madame Fria greeted him with a knowing smile. Oh my, this is a rare sight. Did you hear anything interesting this time? She asked, fanning herself as she approached. The quality control here is a mess, Max replied with exhaustion as he sank into his seat. Madame Fria chuckled. Prince Maximilian, what information were you hoping for? I take it the news about Lady Floyen didn't please you? Slander counts as news here? He scoffed. You usually hide your emotions so well. What's gotten you so worked up this time? She pressed. Max ran a hand through his hair, exasperated. I'm sick of all the barking. Madame Fria observed him closely, hiding a small smile behind her fan. He's been different ever since visiting Lady Floyen's residence, she mused. Just tell me about the rumors surrounding her, Max demanded. Well, the story about her love affair is untrue. She sent a letter to Sir Rowain asking him to be her partner for the ball, Fria explained, causing Max to twitch. But Sir Rowain declined her invitation. A mere son of an earl dares to reject her? Max growled, clenching his fists. Fria continued, as for the rumors about a secret admirer, they originated from Sir Radian Doyle, Viscount Doyle's son. He's also the cousin of Sir Mikhail Hessen, her former lover. Mikhail? Max's voice turned icy, his anger unmistakable. Amusing, isn't it? Sir Mikhail now watches silently as his cousin damages her honor, Fria said with a wry smile. Max abruptly stood. Find me anything that can be used against the Hessen and Doyle families, along with anyone else who dared approach Lady Floyen, he ordered before leaving. As you command, Your Highness, Fria replied. However, she recalled that Duke Floyen had already purchased that information, leaving her uneasy. At the Floyen residence, Juvelian sat for tea with her father, Legis. Though she smiled politely, tension churned within her. Earlier, Legis had walked in on her as she prepared tea. Good timing. I was thirsty, he said, seating himself. Juvelian forced herself to remain composed. Have you found a partner for the ball? Legis asked, sipping his tea. Her heart sank. If I tell him I was rejected, he'll arrange another matchmaking, she thought. I'm still thinking about it, she replied carefully. If you can't find a partner, let me know, Legis said, his cold tone making her shiver. Father, what would you do if I told you? She wondered silently. After an awkward pause, she stood. I'll take my leave now, she said, desperate to escape the stifling atmosphere. I'll be going out soon, Legis mentioned as she prepared to leave. Out? For what? She asked, confused. There's something I need to take care of, he replied cryptically. I see. Have a safe trip, she said with a nervous smile, but inside, she felt uneasy. After Legis departed, Max watched from the shadows as the Duke's carriage disappeared into the distance. Took him long enough, he muttered before adjusting his hood and scaling the walls of the Floyen estate. Reaching Juvelian's window, he slipped inside, his face emerging from the darkness. Where is she? Max glanced around Juvelian's empty room. Is she in the study? He wondered. A troubling thought crossed his mind. Wait, don't tell me she's gone to ask someone else to be her partner. He clenched his fists. Damn it. Whether she has a partner or not isn't my problem, he muttered, turning to leave. What are you doing in my room? Juvelian's voice came from behind him, stopping him in his tracks. He turned quickly, his cheeks reddening as he saw her standing in the doorway, arms crossed. Where were you? He asked, leaning forward slightly. Juvelian blinked at his question, her cheeks flushing. What? Is that really the first thing he's going to say to me? She thought. I was downstairs, she replied softly. I see, Max said, turning away as a slight chuckle escaped him. Did he just laugh? Why did he suddenly show up out of the blue? Juvelian wondered. Did he really mean what he wrote in the letter? If you're here for father, he left for urgent business, she told him. I know. I saw him leave, Max replied bluntly, sitting down on the couch. Why is he here then? Was he kicked out again? Juvelian sighed. I already have a headache as it is. Why are you sighing? Max asked, leaning closer, concern flickering across his face. Didn't he just sit down? Juvelian thought, her heart skipping at his sudden closeness. I just have a lot on my mind, she admitted. Why? Is something wrong? Tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone, Max said earnestly. Juvelian hesitated, her gaze softening. If I tell him, will I at least feel better? She wondered. Just promise me you won't tell father, she said seriously. Fine. I promise, Max replied. I mean it, she pressed, her sharp gaze locking onto his. Okay, he said, raising his hands in surrender. If you tell him, you owe me 100 gold bars, she added, narrowing her eyes. Fine, I'll give you everything I own, even if I tell him by accident, Max replied, his tone exasperated. Juvelian stifled a laugh. Why is he betting everything he has when he doesn't even have a house? She thought. I'm really going to take everything, okay? She teased. Max's heart raced as he watched her laugh. All right, just hurry up and tell me, he said, looking away to hide his flushed face. Okay, Juvelian said, sitting down across from him. You see, I heard some negative rumors about me recently, that Lady Floyen is secretly dating a mysterious man. It's not like dating someone is something to be ashamed of, but I've never done anything like that. I don't care what people say about me. She trailed off, her voice growing sad. But, Max prompted, his brows furrowing, because of those rumors, everyone who asked to be my partner ran away, Juvelian admitted, fidgeting nervously. Max's expression darkened. Those fools! They dare let themselves be swayed by stupid rumors like that? He muttered angrily. An image of himself as Juvelian's lover flashed through his mind, and his cheeks flushed. What in the world am I imagining? Focus on the conversation, he scolded himself. Honestly, I don't care if I don't have a partner, Juvelian said. Then what's the problem? Max asked. The problem is that father is trying to marry me off to someone, she revealed, her voice tinged with despair. Max's eyes widened. Marry you off? Juvelian nodded. I saw the list of potential suitors father made. It looks like he's already decided on someone. Max clenched his fists, gritting his teeth. He's marrying her off? Is that the kind of father he is? Was everything he said about loving his daughter just a lie? That's why I need to show father I already have a partner for the ball. If I don't, I'm sure he'll try to make me meet that person, Juvelian said sadly. There might be a suitable partner closer to you than you think, Max said, his voice steady as he glanced at her meaningfully. Closer to me? Juvelian asked, her eyes lighting up. You're right! There is someone! Max's heart pounded as Juvelian stood abruptly, her expression bright with realization. Thank you so much! You saved my life! She exclaimed, grabbing his hand. His cheeks burned at her touch. It's annoying, but oh well. I guess there's no harm in being asked first, Max thought, trying to stay calm. I can just ask Geraldine to be my partner, Juvelian said excitedly, snapping Max out of his thoughts. Gerald who? Max muttered, his tone sharp. Who the hell is he? He's my knight. Geraldine always accompanies me whenever I go out, so everyone knows who he is, Juvelian said confidently. I'll tell father that I'm scared to meet the people spreading rumors about me. Then I'm sure he'll let me go with my knight. Also, he's a cousin on my mother's side, so there's no chance of a scandal happening. He's the perfect choice, wouldn't you say? She added cheerfully. She's right. It should be fine if it's a relative, Max thought, letting out a sigh. I don't even know why I feel relieved. It's none of my business who she ends up going with. Thank you. Thank you so much for hearing me out, Juvelian said with a bright smile. I should get going, Max said abruptly, standing up. Something feels off. How could I have been foolish enough to come here in the first place? Max thought as he walked past her. Wait, take this, Juvelian said, handing him a small pouch. What is this? Max asked, staring at the pouch. Open it, she replied. Money? He wondered aloud after checking its contents. I'm not giving it to you for free. I want you to come here whenever I need you, like today, she said, smiling as he looked unsure. I was worried because he left so suddenly last time. I'm so glad I could give him some money today, she thought, pleased with herself. If you ever have nowhere to go, you can come here, Juvelian added. Max's cheeks flushed as he nodded. Okay, he said softly. That evening, Ronald Herman was reading a book in his carriage as it crossed a quiet bridge. My lord, we'll be at the Floyen residence once we cross this bridge, his coachman announced. Very well, Ronald replied, his tone indifferent. Suddenly, the carriage came to an abrupt halt, nearly causing Ronald to fall from his seat. What's going on? He barked, leaning forward. Well, The coachman stuttered nervously. Before the coachman could answer, another carriage pulled up beside them. It was Duke Floyen's. Are you Ronald Herman Crocus? Legis asked coldly from his carriage. Ronald froze at the sight of the Duke. If you were planning to visit my residence, there's no need. We can talk right here, Legis said sharply. The Duke explained why Ronald wasn't a suitable match for Juvelian. So, what are you trying to say? That since I'm not good enough for your daughter, I shouldn't even dare approach her? Ronald asked, struggling to process the Duke's words as he held his head, feeling a headache forming. If you understand, turn your horse around now, Legis replied icily. Ha! I'd rather hear that from Lady Floyen herself than from you, Your Grace. I'm far more popular among the ladies than I might look, you see, Ronald said with a smirk, adjusting his glasses. 10 minutes earlier, Legis had met another nobleman, Bormir, another suitor for Juvelian. Bormir had given up after one conversation with the Duke. Juvelian will definitely end up choosing me, Ronald declared confidently, a smug smile on his face. You dare call her by her first name? Legis growled, his anger flaring. Duke Floyen, Your Grace. That was just a mistake, Ronald stammered, panicking. So you can show me respect, but not my daughter. Is that it? Ronald Herman Crocus, are you looking down on my daughter? Legis said, his glare piercing. Forgive me. Ronald stuttered, hastily instructing his coachman to turn the carriage around. They sped away, leaving Legis standing coldly, his glare unwavering. Rowain, Bormir, Crocus. None of them are suitable. Legis thought, settling into his seat. I'll need to have Derek redraw the list from scratch. That night, Juvelian sat in her room, observing the blue diamond cufflinks she had gotten as a gift for her father. I have a plan. From what I've discovered, the rumors about me started because the cufflinks I got for father were mistaken as a gift for some imaginary lover. If they know I bought cufflinks, then it must have been Radian, who I ran into back then. Regardless, father just needs to wear these cufflinks in public. Then the rumors will disappear. These were made to order and are one of a kind. After all, she clenched the box in her hand. That means first things first. Juvelian approached her father as he sat enjoying tea. You really did come back before dinner. I'm so glad you got home so quickly, she said cheerfully. Legis nodded, his gaze calm. I have to get on father's good side, Juvelian thought, determined. Derek told me there was something you wanted me to bring, Legis said as she sat down. Yes, father. I've actually been holding on to it all this time, she said, handing him a pendant. I see. So you were the one who had it, he replied calmly. He's calmer than I expected, Juvelian thought. Now for the real goal. She slid the cufflinks toward him. And this, she said. Legis's gaze softened in amazement. I found these while shopping and I thought of you. I figured the blue diamonds would suit you, she said, trying to sound nonchalant. Legis remained silent, his expression perplexed. He isn't reacting to this either. I was hoping he'd put them on, but I guess that was asking too much, Juvelian thought, feeling tense. She took a deep breath. Also about my partner, she began. I know you're busy, but the day after tomorrow, since you're going so far as to ask me, I will attend the party with you, Legis said suddenly, his words stunning her. Father? That wasn't part of the plan, Juvelian thought, panic bubbling inside her. Next to Salon Blooms, at the Spire, Max slumped into his seat, his hand resting on his head. What in the world is he worrying about so much? His subordinate thought, watching him quietly. I can't take this anymore, Max muttered. I keep thinking about that woman. Why did I have to go all the way to her room? He sighed, his expression dull. He recalled Juvelian's sadness when she spoke about the rumors surrounding her. Yeah, I must have pitied her because of those rumors. There's no reason for me to go back there anymore, he thought, resting his chin on his hand. But then her words echoed in his mind. If you ever have nowhere to go, you can come here. Damn it! Max exclaimed, slamming his fist on the table, his face flushed. My lord, did something happen today? His subordinate asked, startled. Don't worry about it. Start today's report, Max ordered curtly. How can I not worry about it? She thought. This isn't urgent, but we've received a message from Victor, who is acting as your double. He says the Emperor's men have started to suspect something is off because of your long absence, she began. Max chuckled. They won't notice for years, will they? Victor's been standing right in front of them, And now they're suspicious? He muttered, his glare sharp. Send a reply to Victor. Tell him he needs to act more convincingly, Max instructed. Understood, she replied. Poor guy. He's always complaining about how stuffy that armor is, she thought. Oh, and regarding Lady Floyen, it seems all the nobles will be watching her at the party. She's the only blemish on Duke Floyen's spotless reputation, and with those rumors about her secret lover, this event is bound to embarrass her, she reported. Enough! There's no need for that much detail, Max scoffed, cutting her off. But my lord, you told me to report even the smallest things. Fine, I'll be giving you a very important task now, Max interrupted, rising from his seat. His subordinate froze mid-step as his intense gaze bore into her. Give up your weekend, he said sternly. My lord, why are you doing this to me? She thought, groaning inwardly. The day of Rose Arlo's birthday arrived. Earl Arlo's estate was adorned beautifully for the occasion. Madame Fria stepped into the venue with a calm demeanor. Oh my, Madame Fria! I didn't think you'd come. Some noblewomen greeted her enthusiastically. Hello, she replied, offering them a polite smile. The night before, Max had ordered her to attend the party and keep an eye on Juvelian. Stay close to her and step in if anything happens. Naturally, I'm only asking this because she's useful, Max had told her. My lord, more work on a weekend? Don't forget about me when you reach the top, Frisia thought, holding back a sigh. At the party, she listened to two women chatting beside her. Earl Arlo's roses are even more beautiful than they say. I came to this party just to see them, one said cheerfully. Indeed, Madame Fria replied, sipping her wine. But something tells me you're here for more than roses, she thought, noticing their furtive glances around the room. She hasn't arrived yet, right? One woman whispered. I don't think so. I'm so curious about who Lady Floyen will bring to the party, the other replied, her eyes sparkling. Surely it won't be that rumored lover, Madame Fria interjected smoothly, swirling her wine. Wouldn't she come with her cousin, Sir Geraldine? Or maybe alone, the women speculated. She did just break up with Sir Mikhail. If she shows up with someone else, it'll only fuel the rumors. Frisia said with a subtle smile. Ooh, that makes sense, they exclaimed, nodding eagerly. Lady Floyen, I hope you're on the same page as me, Frisia thought. But if she arrives like that, her scandal will only deepen, one woman said. Oh, can't we just find whoever owns those cufflinks? Frisia replied, hiding her intrigue. Those cufflinks could reveal the person His Highness is searching for, she thought. That's Madame Fria for you, the women gushed, blushing. My lord, I'm really giving this my best effort, Frisia thought. That reminds me, did you see Sir Mikhail? One of the women asked. I saw him. He's as handsome and refined as ever. He even smiled at me, another giggled. Flirting with any woman you see, Mikhail, you scoundrel, Frisia thought, unimpressed. Nearby, Mikhail overheard the conversation. What the hell are they talking about? Juvelian, let's see who you bring to this party, he muttered darkly, his expression cold. Meanwhile, Duke Legis and Juvelian were en route to the party in their carriage. I've heard about the rumors and the nobles who might try to slander you at the party. Don't worry, Juvelian. I'll be right beside you, Legis reassured her calmly. When they arrived, Legis extended his hand to help her down. Here, give me your hand, he said gently, guiding her out of the carriage. Juvelian hesitated but took his hand as they walked toward the manor. Duke Floyen. What? The Duke is here? Whispers erupted among the nobles, who looked on in shock. What? Her partner is the Duke? Your attention, please, the host announced. The savior and hero of this empire, Duke Legis Floyen, and his esteemed daughter, Lady Juvelian Eloy Floyen, have arrived. As Juvelian rode in the carriage beside her father, memories of her past life flooded her mind. She had been the lonely villainess, scorned by high society, rejected by Mikhail, the man she thought was her true love, and abandoned by her father, the very person whose neglect had driven her thirst for approval. Her life had ended pitifully, but in this life, she had resolved to let go of any hope for love and escape from her father's plans to marry her off. Despite Legis's assurances that he would be by her side, Juvelian remained on edge. Father, what are you really thinking? She wondered. Their entrance at the party caused a stir among the guests. Walking hand in hand with Duke Floyen shocked everyone present, whispers filling the garden. They're as beautiful as the rumors say. It's been so long since the Duke attended a ball, He's as elegant as ever. Juvelian, however, felt conflicted. Of course, no one's a better partner than father, the most handsome man in the empire, but I never planned for him to be my partner. She glanced at him, unable to decipher his thoughts. When Juvelian stumbled, Legis caught her with ease. "Watch your step," he told her gently. At that moment, the crowd noticed the cufflinks on his shirt, the very ones linked to the rumors. So the cufflinks were a gift for the Duke. Figures. He must have used them to silence those absurd rumors about her secret lover. Legis's glare silenced the murmurs, sending chills through the crowd. "You dare sully a precious gift from my daughter?" he thought angrily, his icy gaze enough to make the nobles flinch. Meanwhile, Mikhail watched from a distance, smirking. "So, the cufflinks were for the Duke? That makes sense. There's no way you'd care for anyone else but me. You still haven't gotten over me, have you, Juvelian?" As Juvelian took in the grand manor, her thoughts wandered. What a charming house. I should keep this in mind for when I move out and decorate my own place. Her musings were interrupted by her father's calm voice. "Just enjoy yourself. There's no need to worry." "I'm not worrying. I'm planning my future," she thought nervously, flinching at his words. Countess Arlo and her daughter Rosemary soon greeted them warmly. Rose, blushing, approached Juvelian. "Thank you for coming to my party, Lady Floyen. I've always wanted to meet you," she said with sparkling eyes. Juvelian smiled at the adorable girl and handed her a small gift. "Happy birthday, Lady Rosemary Arlo. This is a little something for you." Rose opened the box, revealing a portable powder case with a mirror. "Powder in such a small case? With a mirror on top?" the nobles whispered in amazement. Rose's eyes lit up. "I love it! How did you come up with such a creative idea?" The crowd buzzed with admiration. "It's so practical. Small enough to fit in a clutch, perfect for fixing makeup on the go." When asked where she had the item made, Juvelian graciously shared the name of the workshop, shocking the nobles. Sharing such valuable information was unheard of in high society. Lady Floyen must be an angel, they thought, their gazes filled with admiration. As the party moved into the ballroom, Juvelian slipped away to the quiet garden. Alone at last, she sighed, her exhaustion manifesting in tears. From a nearby tree, Max observed her. He flinched at the sight of her tears. "Why is she crying?" he thought, startled. Juvelian sighed in exhaustion, tears welling up in her eyes as she yawned. "I want to go home. I'm so tired," she thought. Her quiet moment was interrupted by Max's voice. "Why are you crying?" Startled, Juvelian turned to see her father's student approaching her. "What is he doing here?" she wondered. How did you get here?" she asked nervously. Max gently wiped her tears. "I don't know what happened, but don't cry. Did someone hurt you?" "Tell me who, and I'll take care of it," he said firmly. Juvelian was baffled. "Punish them? Does he even know what he's saying?" She smiled awkwardly. "So, you want to help me?" Max nodded, his expression serious. Juvelian sighed. "Then, please mind your manners, especially around others. Nobles are very sensitive about respect, and if you act like this, you could make enemies, or worse. If you don't respect me, others won't either." Max flinched at her words, but reluctantly agreed. "Fine." Satisfied, Juvelian smiled. "Good boy, but what are you doing at this party?" "I had some business here," he replied, though the truth was he had come for her. "Was he hired as a temporary guard?" Juvelian wondered. "What about you?" Max asked. "Why are you outside? What's your partner doing leaving you alone?" Juvelian explained that her father was inside the hall. "It just ended up like this," she said with a smile, avoiding the topic of her lack of dance invitations. Hearing the music, Max suddenly extended his hand. "Isn't it obvious? I'm asking you for a dance," he said with a slight flush in his cheeks. Juvelian hesitated, embarrassed. "You know how to dance?" Max smirked. "You should consider it an honor. I don't dance with just anyone." Reluctantly, Juvelian took his hand. To her surprise, Max led her confidently across the floor. "Wait, he's actually good?" she thought, flustered. As they danced, their faces grew closer, and Juvelian's heart began to race. Her steps faltered, but Max caught her by the waist, steadying her. Their faces were now just inches apart, their gazes locked, so close. Juvelian thought, her cheeks flushing. Suddenly, the sound of shattering glass broke the moment. They turned to see Legis standing nearby, his hand bleeding from the glass he had crushed in rage. Get away from her, he roared, his voice filled with fury. Juvelian flinched, startled by her father's outburst. Father? Legis glared at Max, his anger evident. What do you think you're doing? He demanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. In the ballroom, Legis stood alone, composed amidst the lively chatter of nobles. The plan was just to spend a peaceful day with Juvelian. Where is she? He wondered. Watching her slip out to the terrace, he dismissed any concerns. She'll be fine. Unbeknownst to him, Mikhail's eyes followed her too. Juvelian's going somewhere private. She must want me to follow, he smirked, confidently trailing after her. But his path was cut short as he bumped into Legis. Mikhail froze under the Duke's icy glare. Duke Floyen? Why is his attitude toward me so cold now? Mikhail panicked. Is this all because I broke up with her? Damn worm, Legis muttered disdainfully, causing Mikhail to retreat in humiliation. Pathetic thought, recalling the pitiful letter Mikhail had once sent to Juvelian. I won't ruin this party my daughter's enjoying just to crush a worm like that, he decided, sipping his wine. As he glanced toward the terrace, his eyes narrowed. Juvelian? She was dancing with a man. Who is he? If he's skilled enough to evade my notice, I'll need to investigate his family later. But then he saw her stumble, nearly losing her balance. Juvel! No! Panic surged through him as he rushed to the terrace. Stepping outside, he froze in shock. That punk is Max? Rage filled him as memories of his unruly student flooded his mind. Legis crushed the glass in his hand, injuring himself. Get away from her, he roared, drawing the attention of Juvelian and Max. His glare bore into Max. That arrogant, vicious prince. And yet I trained him because of his potential and the Empress's request. But to go after Juvel? His injured hand trembled as his temper flared. Juvelian hurried to him, her worry breaking through his anger. Father, are you okay? She asked, gently holding his injured hand. Her concern softened him momentarily. Was he looking for me because I wasn't in the ballroom? Juvelian thought, panicking over the mix of wine and blood on his hand. Juvelian, I'll ask you what happened later. For now, let's leave, Legis said firmly. She noted his calm demeanor, but winced as his grip on her hand tightened. Before they could leave, Max grabbed Juvelian's hand, his gaze steady. I think you injured your foot, he said softly. Legis's eyes flashed with irritation. Don't worry, it's none of your business. She's my daughter, he growled, knocking Max's hand away. Without hesitation, he lifted Juvelian into his arms. I'll come to you from now on, he said to Max coldly. Don't come to the residence again. Max stayed silent, startled by Legis's rare display of protectiveness. Juvelian, meanwhile, was overwhelmed with mixed emotions. Father must really care about him as his student, even if he doesn't realize it himself. She thought as Legis carried her away. But her father's words echoed in her mind. She's my daughter. Juvelian's heart sank. I can't let myself hope for more. I know how this story ends, she thought sadly. As they re-entered the ballroom, all eyes turned to them. Juvelian grew tense, sweat forming on her brow. Don't tell me? Is he planning to carry me out of the ball like this? Father, you can put me down now. Everyone is looking at us, she stammered, her face flushed with embarrassment. You're hurt. There's no need to push yourself, Legis replied, his calm response only making her more flustered. Father, that's not it, she thought, mortified as he carried her through the ballroom, all eyes on them. This isn't what I wanted. At the ball, Duke Floyen carried Juvelian out in his arms, drawing murmurs from the gathered nobles. Duke Floyen, is something wrong with your daughter? A noble asked. If she isn't well, I'll be taking her home, Legis replied curtly, ignoring the whispers that followed him. Isn't that rude, leaving in the middle of someone else's ball? One noblewoman muttered. Knowing her reputation, she's probably doing this for attention, another said disdainfully. Lady Rose Arlo intervened, descending the staircase gracefully. It seems you've all forgotten she was unwell in the past, she said, silencing the crowd. The nobles flinched at her words. It looks like Lady Floyen hasn't fully recovered yet. Her coming to my party despite being unwell was admirable. Don't you agree? The nobles hesitated before murmuring their agreement. Come to think of it, Lady Floyen always had a weak constitution, one said. Mikhail, standing off to the side, listened quietly. She had a weak constitution? He thought, stunned. Memories of Juvelian struggling to keep up with him flashed in his mind. Was she not faking it all along? At the Floyen estate, Legis carefully tucked Juvelian into bed after her bath. Alan said you need to rest, so avoid going outside for a few days. Call me if anything hurts, he said, gently ruffling her hair before leaving. What's gotten into him? Juvelian thought, confused by his sudden care. He used to ignore me completely. Is it because he needs me healthy to marry the prince? Her thoughts darkened. I thought breaking up with Mikhail would mean freedom, but now it feels like I've jumped from the frying pan into the fire. At Salon Bloom's, Max was deep in thought, replaying the moments he shared with Juvelian at the ball. Why do I keep thinking of her, he wondered, his cheeks flushed. Fria, he called, startling his servant. Yes, my lord? She asked. Send an invitation under your name. Make up a reason for the meeting, he said. To whom? Fria asked, raising a brow. Juvelian, he replied. Fria hesitated. My lord, if you're referring to Lady Floyen, that won't be easy. She's become quite popular lately, she said. Back at the Floyen manor, Juvelian stared in disbelief at the pile of invitations on her table. What's all this? She asked her maid, Marilyn. They're all addressed to you, my lady, Marilyn replied cheerfully. Juvelian frowned. Are they pitying me because I collapsed at the ball? Or did sharing the workshop information improve my reputation? Regardless, she decided. I'll reject them all by saying I'm sick. Just then, Marilyn handed her an urgent letter from Earl Herond. The previous Empress's family? Why would they contact me? Juvelian wondered. Too overwhelmed to respond, she slumped onto the table. I need to find a way to escape this marriage. Her thoughts spiraled until a knock at her window interrupted her. Glancing back, she saw Max, cheeks flushed, standing outside. It's me. Open up, he whispered. Again? Why does he keep showing up uninvited? She thought. But as she let him in, an idea suddenly sparked in her mind. Her eyes lit up, startling Max. Come in, she said cheerfully, rushing to open the window. She bumped into his chest, causing him to stutter. Are you okay? I'm fine, Juvelian replied quickly. But do you want to do it with me? Max froze. Do what? He asked, his face turning red. Let's date, she said, her words leaving him completely flustered. Before entering Juvelian's room, Max watched from the window as she examined the letter he'd disguised and sent through Fria. She hasn't replied. Did she just check it now? He thought, noticing the pile of unopened letters on her desk. Seeing her slump over, exhausted, he smiled to himself. Coming here was the right choice, he thought, before knocking on the window. Juvelian opened it in surprise, letting him in. Let's date, she said with a smile, leaving Max utterly flustered. She wants to date? With me? His mind raced. It took a week to meet her again because I had to wait for Master to leave. But dating? Her and me? No way! He covered his mouth, trying to hide his flushed face. Was she treating me so kindly because she liked me? Thoughts of a future with Juvelian, even children, flashed through his mind. Would one son and one daughter be enough? Or maybe twins? Juvelian interrupted his daydream. Just to be clear, I'm suggesting a contractual relationship. A contractual relationship? Max asked, his expression growing serious. He's perfect for this. As Father's student, his swordsmanship is top tier, and even Father respects him, Juvelian thought. What do you mean by contractual? Max asked, his tone firm. I'll pay you as much as you want to go out with me, Juvelian said bluntly, startling him. What in the world do you take me for? Max snapped, folding his arms. Juvelian pouted. There's obviously an end date. You just need to date me until I move out of the house. Move out? Wouldn't things be harder for you if you left? Max asked. Juvelian sighed. Do you remember the list of potential partners my father made? The problem is he's already chosen one. Can't you just say no? Max scoffed. I can't, she said quietly, fidgeting. Who is it? You can't tell anyone. If word gets out, it'll cause big trouble. Juvelian warned. All right, I won't say anything, Max assured her. Juvelian took a breath. It's Maximilian Cassian Ashet. The Crown Prince? Max asked, startled. Thorold. That's right, Juvelian replied firmly. That can't be true, Max muttered, tense. What's strange about it, I'm still a duke's daughter, and father would be a huge asset to the royal family, Juvelian explained. Max nodded reluctantly. That makes sense. Juvelian continued, the imperial family's power is absolute theft. Rejecting the arrangement would be like defying a god. I can't do it. That's why, before it's official, I need the crown prince to see me with someone else. He can't marry me off if I've already had a public scandal, right? Her eyes sparkled with determination. Max watched her thoughtfully. What if the crown prince doesn't care? You might be exactly his type. Wouldn't that be a win for you? Juvelian stiffened. I'll still run away, she said firmly. Why? Max asked. Isn't it obvious? I don't want to marry a sadistic tyrant. I'd rather stay single forever, she declared. Max froze, her words echoing in his mind. Sadistic tyrant? Single forever? Without another word, he turned and left the balcony. Wait, Juvelian called, but Max had already leapt down, disappearing before she could stop him. How is he so fast? She thought, staring at the empty balcony. She leaned against the railing, muttering, At least tell me if it's a yes or a no. Max returned early to Salon Bloom's, looking frustrated, which caught Madame Frisia's attention. Did something happen? She asked, sensing his anger. Max responded with a question of his own. What does it mean if a woman wants to run away from her future husband? Is this a trick question? Did you want something other than she completely hates him? Frisia replied, unsure. Max's gaze dropped. Does she really hate me? He wondered. Frisia then guessed. Did you meet with Lady Juvelian? Max snapped, dismissing her curiosity. But when Frisia teased him about proposing to Juvelian, he froze, before admitting that Juvelian had initiated the idea. Never mind, Max said quickly, changing the subject. Any updates from the Emperor? Same as always. He's still begging you to come back, Frisia replied. And the Empress sent another assassin. We've kept him alive for now. What should we do? Max, calm despite the situation, considered the options. He was all too familiar with his stepmother, the Empress Isabel, who had been trying to kill him since childhood. Should I send her the assassin's head as a gift, or give her a taste of her own medicine, he thought. He decided to keep the assassin alive. What about marriage offers for me? Max asked out of the blue, surprising Frisia. She assured him there were none, and Max quickly left, leaving her confused. Meanwhile, Juvelian had a quiet dinner with her father at the Floyen residence. As she ate, she couldn't stop thinking about Max. Her father, Legis, suddenly asked, What do you think of the crown prince? Juvelian froze, her mind racing. Why is he asking me this now? I haven't thought about it. I'm not sure, she replied, trying to change the subject. She brought up the founding of the empire, asking about the magical artifacts once owned by the first emperor, which caught her father's attention. Legis suddenly stood up. I just remembered something urgent. Take your time, he said quickly, leaving the table. Juvelian watched him go, feeling uneasy. As Legis walked through the estate, his thoughts were heavy. What if Juvelian finds out too much about the imperial family? He knew that any discovery related to Max or the crown prince could lead to trouble, especially with the rumors surrounding him. For your happiness, Juvelian. Juvelian soon found her father, concerned by his sudden departure. You didn't look happy, she said, following him outside. Legis smiled gently, wrapping a cloak around her as they walked back to the estate. Juvelian, I think it would be good for you to learn more about the crown prince, he said, sending her heart racing. No, he wants to marry me off to him, Juvelian thought, but she forced a smile. Okay, I'll do it. Inside, she was resolute. No way in hell. As she entered the mansion, her mind was made up. I'm going to propose a contractual relationship to him again, she thought, determined to take control of her future.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Manhwa content. See you in the next one.